can't believe this is where I'm at on the internet talking about the country bears. And it's 6:22 in the morning.
The country bears!
I woke up at 4:22, so exactly 2 hours ago, from a text message. And I haven't been able to fall back asleep since. Part of it is that I have been thinking about my bullet points for this video. My parents must be so proud. Our friend group likes to do PowerPoint parties, and so that's where this energy is coming from. This is just my video essay slash PowerPoint on why The Country Bears is a cinematic masterpiece and why it should be the playbook for Disney films moving forward. Like, I'm so surprised there aren't more video essays on why The Country Bears is so good. So I'm gonna do my makeup, and then I have tea, because this is gonna be on a tea channel, which, goodness, what a way to break in the YouTube. You can probably hear me coming up the stairs. Holy almost hear me eat shit. So the tea we are drinking today is from Tea Drunk. One of my goals for this year is to learn Chinese because I would like to be able to pronounce this without offending anyone. I'm just gonna put it as a title, but it is very similar to a oolong tea. This might actually be an oolong tea. It doesn't say on here. It tastes very similar to a tea that I have, a Wu Yi Amber Mountain Oolong. And it's just like so nice. It's like nice and nutty, and there's like a creaminess to it, but it's really subtle. It's so good. Oh, hello, by the way. Let me actually get a little shot of this on my phone of what tea setup we're working with here. This is the tea, obviously.
So the method I'm doing for this tea is a Gung Fu method. It is using a gaiwan, which is that little bowl that the tea is in. So the purpose of brewing tea like this is so then you can get the full spectrum experience of what a tea can offer versus putting the tea in one cup and brewing it all at once. It's a little bit more of an expansive view of the tasting notes and complexities of the tea that you're tasting.
So I really love the process of using a gaiwan for brewing tea. It's something I've been doing for a couple years now, and it is just the most meditative practice. One of these days I'll go through and like do a proper hello, my name is Steffi, welcome to my tea channel. This is my tea business that I'm just starting here in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll do that whole shebang at another date. We have further, more important matters to tackle. I need to break out my notes for this. The video title for this is like my testimony for The Country Bears because it is a masterpiece. You know, I tell people Back to the Future is my favorite film. It might have to be The Country Bears. And I say that with my chest. I say that with gusto. I rewatched it twice within the last month, and it was funny, like the same, if not funnier the second time. This is my presentation as to why you should watch The Country Bears, and also why Disney should take this model for a film, but please, for the love of God, don't make a reboot. Do not make a live action reboot that is CG animated. I swear to God. Let's get into it. And there are spoilers, so if you do not want to be spoiled, go watch the film, have a grand old time. So there are 4 main components to why this film is so good. The banging soundtrack. You can't stream this soundtrack on Spotify. You can listen to some of the songs on YouTube, but to get the full soundtrack, I had to buy the CD on eBay for like $20 or $25, which is honestly some of the best money I've ever spent.
Hello, Editing Steffi here. So I forgot to actually list out the bullet points. So those being the bangin' soundtrack, the history of the film along with like the heart of the film, the comedy gold and the cameos in the film, and then also the fact that there's no filler in the film, which I will get to at the end. So forgot to say that. Let's jump back in.
A little history behind the music. John Hyatt is the songwriter behind most of the songs in the film, and He was really big in the 80s. He writes in the style of like new wave, blues, and country music. And he was nominated overall in his career so far for 9 Grammy Awards. His big like blowout smash that got him recognition was Have a Little Faith in Me.
Have a little faith in me.
In 2000, he won the Nashville Songwriter Award for being the Artist Songwriter of the Year. There's more information than I expected on this film, but there wasn't a whole lot. Oh my goodness. Let It Ride.
Let it ride, let it ride, let it ride.
And Straight to the Heart of Love. Oh my.
Straight to the heart of love.
Also, and also the pop music. There's an artist called Crystal who, when I initially did research, I was like, oh, she's like an industry plant, but she was like an actual artist that was featured in the film. She did the song The Kid in You.
Somebody call my sister, tell her how much I miss her. Tell my brother to come on too.
There's a blonde girl who I should have written her name down, so I apologize. I'll put her name on the screen. Okay, so going back to my bullet points. Bullet point 2, the history and the heart of this film. So we'll start with like the making of the film, and then we'll go into the actual like story of the film. Vice President of Production Brigham Taylor took his family to Disneyland and went on the Country Bear Jamboree ride at Disneyland and decided that it would make for a good film. People obviously within the company were a little skeptical, and so luckily, by the grace of God, Nina Jacobson with Buena Vista Motion Pictures Group, say that 10 times fast, was sold on the idea and fast-tracked the production due to the low cost, but also that in the event that there was an impending writer's strike. And so they ended up filming most of the film in Franklin, Tennessee, which was really cool to see because I forgot that. And when we watched it, it was like, hey, they're on Broadway. Like they were downtown Nashville in front of Roberts. Then they filmed in like parts of California as well. And that's pretty much it. I found one interview clip from one of the puppeteers. She talked about how when they were animating the bear costumes, Disney, I guess, had pushed for scripting out and like recording the final vocals first before, and then like animating around that.
Challenges we had with Disney is Disney wanted to pre-record the voices. And as puppeteers, we went, oh, no, you don't want to do that. And Disney says, well, that's the way we work with animation. And we all said, we understand that that's the way you work with animation. We are not animation, we are puppeteers. And if you pre-record the voices, we're locked into the voices. And therefore you don't get any puppet magic. And they went, puppet magic? And I said, just because, see, you don't even know what it is. So don't lock us out of it. And they said, okay, all right, well, we feel we should lock you in. But what we'll do is we'll send you a voice and you perform one of your characters to that voice and then do it with what we call scratch track, which means we just do it and then the voices come in after and overdub it. So they chose Tennessee. And Tennessee was done by Julianne Busher on the face articulation. So we have a joystick and we have a Waldo. We program it so that the face will work. On the joystick, you can have expressions like happy, sad, look left, look right, whatever. And it's all here on a joystick with little buttons. And then here works the mouth. And it's all programmed on an audio animatronic head with servos, et cetera, et cetera. Builder is John Criswell, brilliant. And Julianne Busher was the face and personality of the head. And then Jody, who's inside, is the body character creating all the body moves. And together, they made Tennessee Bear. So it was the sequence that you all remember if you've seen Country Bears, where Tennessee is the marriage counselor.
Okay.
And they did it first to the voice. And the voice said, I don't know why you want to do this because, I just remember Trixie. Oh, Trixie, said the voice. But then we did the scratch track without the voice. And Jody and Julianne we rehearsed walking, we rehearsed sitting, we rehearsed everything as a team. And we're connected by headsets. So Julianne looks at the script and she and Jody start to do it. And then they get this idea. Trixie! The voice didn't do this. This was Jody and Julianne. So how on earth, this is a magic puppet moment. And they don't come if we're locked into a voice.
I think that was super helpful in capturing some of those great comedic moments and just to have the ability to be spontaneous on set, because who knows like how much of it was actually scripted versus what was improvised. And there was just a genuine love from the fans of this ride for this movie. In that same interview, she did talk about how there was a song that they completely filmed for Big Al, which is kind of like the groundskeeper for Country Bear Hall. And it was a song from the original ride, I believe. But they ended up cutting it, which I think was a smart move on Disney's part, or on the director's part rather. Tea time. The second part of this History and Heart segment is the actual story of the movie. So Barry Barrington was adopted by this human family.
He looks like a fourth grader?
And one of the sayings that was like the through line of the film was, the people who love you no matter what, that's your family. And it was really nice seeing these characters find that love again for themselves, for their family, for like their chosen family. And so the story goes, Barry runs away from home because his brother's teasing him, and he decides to run away and find his destiny. And so he runs away to the Country Bear Hall, where that's where his heroes like played, and there was such a reverence around the space. And so his enthusiasm and love for the band inspires this cranky old manager of the band to get the band back together to save Country Bear Hall, because there's a banker who is gonna tear down Country Bear Hall because they haven't paid their rent in 6 years. So anyways, they're like, we gotta get the band back together. We have to pay off this debt. We're gonna do a benefit show to save Country Bear Hall. So the next good chunk of the film is just like shenanigans and insane cameos. Then the drama really sets in more with the last member of the band, Ted Betterhead, who is not wanting to be a part of this mission to save Country Bear Hall. That's when that through line comes back, where everyone's arguing in the band, and Barry's like, you know what? You guys talked about how the Bears were your family. And Ted's like, oh, that was a bunch of publicity. And Barry's like, you know what? You're right. This isn't a family, because the people who love you no matter what, that's your family. And they're like, who said that, Barry? And he's like, my dad. The way he said my dad was that moment of when it clicked, like, yeah, that is my dad. That's my family.
And also part of the joy of this film is that this kid Forrest Gumps at home. Like, he just runs. After all this driving, he's like, I'm just gonna run home.
And so obviously this very profound moment impacts the Bears, and they're like, yeah, Barry's right. And so Ted follows him back to Barry's house, and then is like, hey, you know what? We're not doing this benefit show without you. And so they try and get back to the bus. The bus is stolen. More shenanigans ensue. They find the Bears, they get to Country Bear Hall, and they play this benefit show and play one of the best ending show songs that I've seen in a film in a very long time. And that is the film. As hokey and as cheesy as it is still heartwarming and is still effective. The heart of this film, you could just tell people really enjoyed it. They enjoyed making it. It was just silly, it was fun, with a good message. Simple, straight to the point. Now, the real meat and potatoes of this, comedy gold and cameos, because holy Toledo, I forgot how many people were in this film.
You're the Country Bears, right?
It's just like that dumb Pinterest humor or dumb meme humor that like translates so well 20 years later.
I lost him.
What do you mean you lost him? How do you lose a bus?
Bingo, 9 o'clock.
There's this one scene where the banker, who is Christopher Walken is in this film as the banker trying to shut down Country Bear Hall. He has this whole office scene, walking around his office. This banker probably has so many other things to do, but the most pressing thing he has to do.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Country Bear Hall has been crushed.
And then there's another scene where their old music promoter, Rip Holland, is, you know, they call him because they're like, hey man, we need you to help promote this show. Like, we're trying to raise money to like save Country Bear Hall. And Rip Holland, you can kind of tell, is like this sleazeball, but his office is in like a Kmart. Like, he's in like the display pretending it's his office. There's the two cops in the film, they introduce themselves and they're ham and cheats. And the dad's like, ham and cheats? They're like, yeah, we get that all the time. The cameos are insane. There is Willie Nelson, Sir Elton John, Queen Latifah. We got the whole Royal Academy here. We have Bonnie Raitt. We have Brian Setzer. We have Don Henley from the Eagles. Haley Joel Osment played Barry. Stephen, I can never say his name.
I have a better idea.
It's one of those names where I like can't read it, but I'm sure when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, duh, that's how you say that. Who was on Silicon Valley and Glee, and he always seemed to be that character where it's like, yeah, I've seen him in stuff. The money really went into like the writing, the costuming, and the cameos. My fourth and final like bullet point as to why I think this film is so good. There's no filler. This movie is a lean, mean comedy music machine. There are 3 examples of this that I feel like if it was a film made today, they would have just like overlooked. The first being there's a tracking device. There's a scene where in the beginning where the brother and Barry are having this conversation about, you know, Barry being adopted. He's like, see, here's my birth certificate and this is yours. And Barry's birth certificate being like a tracking device with a collar. The brother gets frustrated because Barry's like, so what's your point? And the brother throws the tracking device in this like laundry hamper. Towards the end of the movie, when the bus gets stolen, Barry had taken, like there's a scene showing Barry putting the collar in his backpack, and then the bus gets stolen and Barry left all his stuff on the bus. And the brother's like, you left all your stuff on the bus? And they go to the laundry hamper and they find the tracking device. That is a full circle moment. They took the time to be like, okay, we're gonna do this thing. This is why. The second thing being like that phrase that the dad would say, or that the dad says, like, you know, the people that love you no matter what, that's your family. Like they could have just said that, but no, like they brought it to the end of the film to have that be motivation for Barry to actually go back home. And then there's the antagonist, the banker. Like he hates the Country Bears so much. And they're like, why does this guy like want to tear down Country Bear Hall so much? And there's a scene on the bus where they're going through like all the old scrapbooks and like all the memorabilia on the bus. And Barry's like, oh, who's that? And it's this kid. They were in the same talent show with the Country Bears that it was like the Country Bears' big break. This kid was an armpit farter musician. I'm not making this up. He didn't win the talent show and he was very upset about it. Fast forward, this guy is the banker. That's why he kidnaps the bus, he kidnaps the bears. They brought it full circle. They didn't just say it to be funny, which in like that moment wasn't like a super funny thing. But the fact that it comes all the way back around as to being the motivation for the antagonist. Yes, those 4 points, I think, you know, we just don't see that in movies anymore. It was actually very refreshing. I think it was ahead of its time, truly. There was a level of detail that only comes from people who are genuinely enjoying what they're doing and having fun. And especially in an age where we're just pumping out content and doing it for the algorithm, it was really nice to see something that was done from a place of just wanting to tell a good story and enjoying the process and doing it. Anyways, that is my tea for today. So if you got to the end of this video, thank you for watching. Not all content on this channel is gonna be like this. I just really didn't know where to put this video. My goal is to keep like my music channel separate from like what I do with Running Wild Tea. So a little spiel about my tea business here. It is a tea tasting company here in Nashville, Tennessee, where I bring like a traditional Chinese style tea ceremony to you or to whoever wants it. And it is a practice in mindfulness. It is a practice in setting intention and really being present in the moment when drinking tea, which is such a simple thing, but it has had profound effects on my life that I just want to share with people. Because especially in an age when everything's moving so fast, I think anything that can give you a permission to slow down, and also slowing down in a way that's actually good for you, that's not going to a bar and having a drink. Like you're consuming something that is actively prolonging your life. It's something I'm very passionate about. So on this channel, the goals are I want to produce music that you can drink tea to, so like doing some lo-fi beats, like stuff you can just like put on in the background and listen to while you're drinking tea or while you're doing anything else, studying, doing your taxes, which I need to do. And then also doing, I think what I want to try and call these kind of like one-off videos are running wild TV. As the kids say, the tea must be spilled. And I don't know if this was any tea that was, you know, needed to be spilled, but I spilled the tea on why I think the Country Bears is so good. If you like this video, feel free to like it, subscribe, comment. If there's anything else you want me to do TV about, I'd be happy to. I also want to do tea tasting videos where I actually go through and we'll like pick out some tea and we'll go through the history and the tasting notes and the actual like process of brewing tea as well. There's a lot of things to look forward to this year. I'm very excited. So thank you so much for watching. And I think that's it.